Hey there, sports fans. This is the Alex at Bat podcast. We're going to bring you some news from around the sports world. We're going to get started with the indisputable fact Sharp is leaving undisputed. So, Alex is going to get into, or I would like to know if you could enlighten us as far as why exactly he's leaving. Is it a contract issue? Was there something where he was able to break the contract? Do we know what Skip Bayless is thinking at this point? What are his options? Just whatever news you have for us. What do you think's going down in the world of Shannon Sharp?
So Shannon Sharp announced after the NBA Finals he's going to be leaving undisputed. I heard his contract was running out. That's really all I know, but people were already making speculations that he was planning to leave soon. It all started back in last season. Of course, everyone makes their speculations, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was the case. Skip and Shannon Sharp got into an incident talking about Tom Brady. Skip Bayless said he was way better than you. Shannon Sharp got annoyed about that, and I understand, but and I think that's kind of like what started it. And then after the DeMar Hamlin injury, Skip wrote something about like, oh, how is this gonna like affect the playoffs and all, and that, yeah, and then Shannon Sharp, the next day, the day after that happened, he didn't show up on Undisputed, and then once he did, it wasn't like good. It literally was like a house of horror because like how much arguing was going on, and I think that Shannon Sharp made a good decision to take a day off, to process everything, and that is totally all right. And I think that those are like the two big incidents where I was thinking I don't see this going on for that long between Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless.
I wonder too. I've seen a couple episodes of that Club Shay Shay, and that's his podcast, right? But he does it on the same network, and you could see. I mean, Shannon Sharp holds his own on Undisputed. He's obviously a force of nature. There was in the sports world, is in the broadcasting world as well. So he definitely held his own, went toe to toe with Skip Bayless night in, night out. But also, you could really see him kind of coming into his own in that Club Shay Shay, and I do kind of wonder. He's probably thinking, I'm doing pretty well by myself, or I think I have more to offer. And then B, he might be thinking, I wonder who else is out there. There might be some people that I might actually get along with, not just on camera, but in real life, behind camera. I might get along with a little bit better. I know Stephen A. Smith has said, you're welcome anytime, which got a lot of people thinking that might be the direction that he goes in. So that'll be interesting to see wherever he lands, because he's a character. I mean, he's fun to watch. He's fun to listen to. So we'll see what happens with him.
Oh, and when he is a funny character is when, about Skip Bayless, he's a Cowboys fan, and Shannon Sharp always likes to go after him when the Cowboys loses. That's when I know how funny of a character he is. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, he definitely goes after Skip for that. I mean, that's the Skip soft underbelly is the Dallas Cowboys. Jalen Carter broke a selfie. No, what did he do? He broke a sled. He broke a sled in practice. Who is? I mean, forgive me, but who is Jalen Carter? I'm assuming that's one of those practice sleds that they use for the offensive, defensive line guys. So what exactly happened with Jalen Carter, and was it Santa's sled? I mean, what is this sled about?
That's funny you said Santa sled, but so one of the sleds I guess they use for to help get the idea of pushing an offensive lineman back pretty much. And he's already making headlines, First, he had that big incident, the big car wreck incident, back. Yeah, that was the same guy. But besides that, his draft spot still didn't really affect him. He was I think the 10th pick, and he's already making headlines. He's already breaking sleds in practice. I mean, I think offensive linemen are probably watching the offensive linemen he could be possibly going up against this year could be watching geez, I'm gonna need to work a little bit harder now because now I know the guy who I might be facing is already breaking sleds like in rookie mini camp. Like, I think that offensive linemen might want to watch out a little bit this year.
Breaking sleds and breaking heads. All right, so next up we have Browns with Amari Cooper, correct? He's potentially twirling automobiles. What is it? What is he doing? Talking about trading? What's going on here? Amari Cooper, something.
Oh my! Amari Cooper is trying to get DeAndre. He was trying to talk to DeAndre Hopkins about coming to the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, he's. Don't worry, he's just trying to be silly over here. uh, so he's trying. He's already. He's trying to like recruit him to play for the Cleveland Browns. So, so I definitely think that he would be a good fit, but I know like his expectations of like his new team is it definitely gonna fit the Cleveland Browns like a top 10 quarterback. He was trying to get a good quarterback, a good defense. I mean the Browns defense isn't bad, but they're okay. So and then he's obviously say he's trying to win a championship. That's the goal, but as we all know, the Cleveland Browns, as far as I know, is probably not gonna be anywhere close to that anytime soon. So, yeah, so so I think, yeah, of course, when these other NFL players see good players like on the market, of course they want to go after him. But if his expectations, I don't think will meet for the Cleveland Browns.
And the Cleveland Browns quarterback, that's the one that had gotten suspended for like multiple games. Watson, that's it. I couldn't think of his last name. I got Deshaun. So how do you think Amari Cooper fits into that scheme could fit into that scheme with Deshaun Watson?
I mean, he's been on the team since last year. Yeah.
Oh, they're trading for him.
Yeah, they're trying to get him. Yeah. It's okay though. We'll forget that. So so they're just trying to get him on the team. I mean, Amari Cooper's a good player too. He actually played for the Cowboys like 2 years ago now. And then, he asked for too much money, and then he ended up going to the Cleveland Browns. He's actually been a good fit so far, 1,000-yard receiver. So I think that he definitely fits well. I think that adding another receiver could definitely help, like the Cleveland Browns, but I don't think if DeAndre Hopkins wants to like win now before, his career's obviously coming to an end. He's this year, if he plays, he's gonna be in year 11. So he's been drafted in 2013. So he's been in the league for a while now. So I think that if he's trying to win now, he should definitely go to a team that makes the playoffs like every year.
Right. Interesting.
I think most of them actually probably don't need him because they can win games without players like DeAndre Hopkins, like the Chiefs. Had interest, they don't have interest anymore. So I definitely think that the Browns wouldn't be a team that's gonna win anytime soon, like a Super Bowl or even go to the championship. So,
well, speaking of championships, that leads us into our last topic of the night, which is our NBA Finals that's going on between the Heat. They're going to be playing Game 3 tomorrow night in Miami. The Heat pulled out a close one the other night, Game 2. Exceeded everyone's expectations, or at least most people's expectations, by beating the Denver Nuggets in their home court, 108 to 111. So that was really interesting. Some things came out of that game that I found interesting. I think a lot of it got kind of oversimplified, and Spoelstra got a little bit upset when he was posed the question, something to the effect like, is the secret to beating the Nuggets allowing Jokic to score so that it brings down his assists and doesn't get the other players involved? Because it seems like that when teams keep Jokic under six assists, the Nuggets went 3-7 during the regular season. So there's a definite correlation between Jokic's low assist number and the overall success of the team as far as scoring. And Spoelstra just said that's looking at it with an untrained eye, that he's going to do what he's going to do. He's an elite player, top of the NBA in the past 2 years or 2 years prior. I guess Embiid won this one, but it doesn't. And obviously they're going to try to stop him from scoring. They're going to try to stop him from assists. But if you have to pick your poison, let him score, because by putting on you could put two guys on the guy. Double team him, triple team him. He's still going to score. But what you're doing is you're pulling needed resources off of other players. And by just giving Jokic single coverage, letting him score when he scores, you're keeping those bodies on other guys. And the Heat have been playing this really crazy zone defense that everybody's talking about, this like shape-shifting zone defense. So, and it behooves them, especially in that game too. They played a much more physical game. So it'll be interesting to see if they bring that physical game that seems to be their strategy thing, where they're letting Jokic score, but covering other guys better, like Jamal Murray and Porter Jr. So it'll be interesting to see in game 3, 4, with the home court advantage, how they actually fare. Any opinions on what you're seeing on either side of the ball?
So I definitely think that if you neutralize Jokic, your chances of winning goes up higher. And so I think that the way how Miami Heat was able to control Jokic, Murray and all the other players, I think that that's why they won the game, because if Jokic is scoring a lot of, at least over 50 points or whatever, your chances of winning goes down by a lot. If you're just letting him dominate on the court and all the guys are just dominating and they're just unstoppable, your chances of winning are very low. But I think since they were able to control the game, control their best players, I think that that's why the Heat won. And I think that if they continue to do this for the rest of the series, their chances of winning a championship, will definitely be higher percentage.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler said they will win the if they win the championship, it's because of Bam Adebayo, because he's a young guy, 25 years old, was this year's all-defensive team, second team, all-defensive team, NBA, and is really good. I mean, if you got to pick a guy to put on Jokic, it is by far Bam's toughest assignment, as per Eric Spoelstra. He acknowledged that fact. It's his toughest assignment in the playoffs, but one that he's up to or up for. And if he continues to cover Jokic like he does, the rest of the Heat will kind of take care of the other guys. One thing that I found interesting, too, was that the Heat players had this uncanny knack to not only find the hot hand on the offensive side of the ball, but that hot hand just rotates. It's like, Max Strus. Max Strus came alive game 2. He was 0 for 10 or something like that in game 1. Came alive in game 2. Was knocking down threes early from the opening tip off. But then along comes Gabe Vincent was knocking them down. Bam Adebayo poured in a lot, most of them in the paint, like some fadeaway, floater jumpers, stuff like that, or floaters, fadeaway jumpers. And then fourth quarter was Duncan Robinson, 10 points in 2 minutes. And then it was like they keep finding, okay, you got Duncan, he's hot. He gets the ball. Boom. Okay, now it's Vincent's turn. He's hot. He gets the ball. And they just almost like they're playing in shifts. I can't imagine it's intentional. It has to be like a flow thing and assessing very quickly who they think is going to be in the zone. But then Jimmy Butler, sure enough, late in the fourth quarter, he puts in 8 points. And they have a really, really good way. They must just sense it among the group, like who has the hand. And I love Spoelstra, I guess, admitted early in his career, a guy goes 0 for 10, that guy's not getting the ball. But he's flipped that mentality. And it's very much shooter, like Strus said in a pregame interview, shooters got to shoot. And that's what Spoelstra encourages. Like, I don't care if you miss 10. Like, if you're shooting them, eventually the makes will come. And when they come, they'll come in bunches. And that's what they're waiting on. They're waiting on the rain. And then once the rain comes, they know it's going to pour. And I love to see that. And they have such trust in each other, which I didn't necessarily see on the Nuggets side. It's more like in Jokic we trust, and hopefully Jamal Murray comes along. But then it's like, who's the third guy? Porter Jr. He's not really doing much all for the past couple games. So it'll be interesting to see if the starting five for the Nuggets can really pull their weight. Their bench has done well, especially in game one, but the Heat just seem to be such fierce competitors. And even though they might not be getting as good looks as some of the Nuggets do on their shots, the Heat just make them. They make them. So excited to see how this one pans out.
It kind of reminds me, since you were saying, like, where, like, everyone has a shot to get the ball and everything. And they're like, it kind of reminds me of, like those games where, like, you get the ball. It's your, everyone is involved, not just, like, one person who's, like, doing all the work. Everyone has, like, a part of it. So I definitely think that's cool. I definitely think those are, like, those entertaining games to watch where everyone's, like, having a chance to make the shot, or, like, getting the ball in the basketball game. So, like, that's definitely, honestly, I think that pretty cool. And the way how they're able to, like, neutralize that Denver Nuggets team, I think that's that's pretty impressive too. Like you said, like, once they eliminated their best players, like, it was just like, it just wasn't working at that point, and it was, like, hard. And that's why I think that it's, like, always good to have a good depth, because if you don't, it's really going to hurt your chances of being a good team, because your best players are not going to always have good games, like, every single game. So that's why it's always good to have an extra person to capitalize on that, so they can still win even if their best players not playing great.
Yeah, the Heat. I mean, you talk about the X factor. The Heat have like 5 X factors. It could be any one of you got Jimmy and Bam at the top, and then after that, it's like who's somebody's gonna have the hot hand. Gabe Vincent, Max Strus, Caleb Martin. He's amazing. He hasn't really come out yet, but he's due for a big game. I think he's gonna be knocking down some threes, and he can drive in the paint too. But then Duncan Robinson. I mean, they're all, and the word is on the street that Tyler Hero's not going to be playing in Game 3 just because of a little bit of swelling. He's been practicing with the team, but he's not going to be there. And Hero is himself questioned, am I going to mess up the flow of the team, the chemistry of the team if I just all of a sudden jump in the roster? So, you talk about a good problem to have. The guy he's their third best shooter on the team, maybe even second highest scorer. I don't even know. But he was definitely top 3 scorers on the team, and they just don't need him. Not that they don't want him to play. They just don't need him at this point. But we'll see what happens in Miami. I think that's going to bring our podcast to a close tonight. So that's our news from around the NFL and NBA. And we will see you next time.
Yes, see you. Goodbye.